How's it going, everybody? My name is Absalom and welcome to my channel. Now, if you're watching this video, you are most likely debating on whether or not to invest your time and money into a game like Death Stranding. And with a game of this magnitude, I bet that's pretty hard because, of course, it's going to have a ton of hype before release. It's going to have great reviews, but the most important thing now that it's out is what does the player base think of it? So I've been asking a bunch of different people what their experiences have been like. I've seen people online that have been debating this game, and I actually had people on Reddit ask me to create this review. So I wanted to make a review that is a non-biased review that weighs the pros and cons and all the other factors that boil this game down to whether or not it is worth it. Should you buy Death Stranding? And on top of that, I wanted my review to be trustworthy and legitimate. And yes, I'm sure you're thinking, well, of course you do, but let me explain what I mean by trustworthy. So I think to give an accurate review, you need to be disconnected from the matter at hand, in this case Death Stranding, but you also need to have enough genuine interest that you can be enthralled to spend time with the topic. So many reviewers don't care about the topic in review, so they're just quick to make rash decisions which end up impacting several people. But just like too little is no good, so is too much. And I don't think someone who has rose-colored shades on can give an honest opinion. They most likely don't want to or won't notice the flaws in what they are reviewing. They also might not consider something a flaw just because it works for them. So to give a trustworthy review, you need to land somewhere in the middle. So keeping this in mind, I think I am well equipped to give a trustworthy review. And this is because I'm someone who has never played any of Kojima's games. It's not because I wasn't interested, but just because I've never had a chance. And although I've never experienced a Kojima game, I am a huge fan of games like Metro, Sekiro, God of War, and more recently Outer Worlds and many more. And so I'm familiar with the style of game that Kojima makes, but coming into Death Stranding, I didn't have years of nostalgia to fall back on if Death Stranding wasn't what it was expected to be. So basically, I had nothing to lose if Death Stranding flopped. That being said, I was drawn to this game because of how loyal the community is and what it was promised to be. And so now that I've had a chance to experience this game, I think I can now sit down and give an honest review of how I feel about it. And so now I'm going to start with the pros and cons. Taking a look at the pros for this game, first, this game has an incredible amount of playtime. With over 10 plus hours of cutscenes and 40 plus hours of storyline missions alone, this game is set to be a record-breaking sort of game that you could easily spend an eternity exploring. Another pro for this game is that the replayability rate is extremely high. I could easily see myself taking on almost every mission or scenario completely different every time I play the game, so I definitely wouldn't call this a one and done type of game. Besides the fact that you can take on most scenarios with a different approach, this game has tiny details scattered all throughout it, making it stand out from other games. Little things like your Odra deck waving goodbye to enemies when you sneak past, or BB signaling a thumbs up when you like something. All of these things make this game stand out from others like it. With Red Dead coming close to this game's attention to detail, I still feel like the overall vibe of this game stands alone and for good reason. Another aspect of this game is the combat. Now, the combat is featured as almost a secondary approach, and even though the combat style has been done before, this game's combat is set apart from the rest once again. Weapons and maneuvers are unique in that they are linked to your environment, body, and soul. Your player is drained of life after a fight, making you have to think about your encounter, which feels very realistic and very unique. Another pro for this game is that it is extremely flexible, so you can either play lighthearted and help other people, or you can be kind of selfish and go down your own path, and that is completely up to you. However, I will say that the overall theme of this is to help others and connect the world, so it does reward you a little bit more if you play in the pure-hearted manner. My last pro for this game is that it is one of the few games in the most recent years that has not released in stages. I have personally not seen or heard of any glitches, there's no in-game purchases, and our favorite loot crates are gone. You actually get everything at the start and everything works. It's sad to me that AAA games have created a standard to deliver only half of the game's content on release and then charge for the other. So despite what you might think of Death Stranding, it is one of the only games recently to deliver 100% of the content that was promised and have zero in-game purchases. Okay, well, nothing is perfect, so let's take a look at the cons for this game. So going back, I mentioned the amount of gameplay earlier, however with the amount of gameplay there is, it can get a little bit repetitive at times. Making deliveries is a huge part of this game and, well, they can feel a little bit endless. So if you don't like a slow-paced game, then maybe you should consider something else. I've also seen a lot of comments asking what exactly a slow-paced game is, so allow me to elaborate. So this game has a simple task at hand, and to entertain players along the way, it offers songs, wild scenery, and environmental challenges like crossing rivers. However, once you've mastered these obstacles and seen the world, it can feel a little less challenging and begin to feel more slow-paced. Going with that, another con for this game is that it requires a lot of patience. The quote that it's not about the destination but more about the journey has never been more true. This game is less focused on delivering back-to-back sequences that keep the player active, and instead it builds on itself more and more, delivering a sense that you've truly earned what you set out to do. So if you don't like being patient, then Death Stranding is very much not for you. Another point is that this game does not feature an online world, so if you're looking to rebuild the world with your friends, then you will be disappointed. But hey, it's called Death Stranding, not Alive and Found. Another smaller con is that despite this game not having any loot crates, it does have customizable exosuits and apparel locked behind the deluxe edition and pre-order, so you would be stuck with just the basic customizations if you bought the base game. This, however, doesn't affect your game in any way. So a pretty big issue that I've heard while talking to other people from other countries is that they feel like they are less connected to this game than others simply because you are rebuilding America in this game. I asked them to elaborate on this, and with the main theme of this game being to rebuild society, there's an underlying tone taken from American politics. So if you're not involved in the United States politics, then you may suffer by not feeling as involved in this game. Along with this, politics are a big influence on this game, so if you are somebody looking to escape this scene, then maybe you should try rebuilding society in a game like Minecraft. The last con that I have for this game that I've been hearing is that with almost every character you meet in this game, they are famous actors or actresses, so some might feel disconnected to this game because of those people's previous roles. I know that personally, The Walking Dead has been brought up several times in my chat, so I completely understand how some people don't see these characters as unique people in this world, causing them to feel disconnected. So now that I've gone through the major pros and cons, I also want to elaborate more on the other factors of this game. I'll be looking at genre, outside influences, Easter egg, and what sort of person Kojima made this game for. Let's start with genre. So I've had a really hard time deciding where this game belongs. So I'm going to place this game and whatever else is lurking in Kojima's mind in an entirely new genre. This game features almost every style of game. It even has third-person and first-person moments, and at times even out-of-body person moments. So I think this game is more like an epic series such as Lord of the Rings or the Dark Tower series than one specific thing or genre. Another thing to know about and understand this game is that Kojima didn't make Death Stranding without some help and outside influence. And without some of the artwork, some of the moments in the game would actually feel very boring. And instead of suffering, it actually feels very alive and powerful. And I think a lot of this can be attributed to the bands that recorded the soundtrack, and the soundtrack features alongside of your gameplay and actually creates some truly breathtaking moments. Along with music, Kojima is also a huge film fan and critic. He used a lot of ideas from his favorite films that he discusses on his YouTube channel for inspiration for this game. So if you're not standing alongside of Kojima on his film choices, then you might not appreciate the environment and the character plots as they are heavily influenced by his favorite films. Another major aspect I want to mention is the Easter eggs in this game, and if you've been following my YouTube channel at all, you'll know that I'm a huge sucker for Easter eggs and I love solving them in games. So this game is no different, it has a lot of different Easter eggs. The main reason I bring up Easter eggs is that I know a lot of people, myself included, that have bought games simply to hunt Easter eggs with little to no consideration for the gameplay itself. So if you're an Easter egg hunter, you might consider buying Death Stranding because there is a mass amount of unsolved Easter eggs, including a secret ending to Metal Gear Solid that is rumored to be somewhere in this game. So before I get to my final decision on whether this game is worth it or not, I want to talk about what kind of person this game is made for, because honestly I think that this is the most important fact that you need to take away from this video. This game isn't for the person who is looking to hurry on to the next game. It demands a patient and engaged player. This game has none like it, and if you aren't willing to pour your time into it, then I honestly think it's a waste of money. Not only do you need to be engaged in the atmosphere of the world, but you will also get more out of it if you are engaged in real life issues and debates. For example, things such as climate change, types of government, American politics, American states' current stances, and the general state of the world are all factors that come into this game. Even though this game is set in America, it doesn't have the terrain of the United States, which allows every player to picture themselves in their own country and feel as though they can make a difference. And even though some might take it as a con that the game is set in America, I personally feel like it's making every individual feel as if we stand together, no matter what country you live in. So I think to appreciate this game, you need to be patient and engaged in modern politics and events, but it also requires a lot of deep thinking. And I don't mean the kind of deep thinking that other games might require to get through puzzles and other levels, but the kind of deep thinking that it takes to grasp some of these concepts. So if you're the kind of gamer that enjoys a challenge, then this game is not going to challenge you on your skills, but more so on how you view the world. So I hope with all of that I've answered what type of person would enjoy this game. And with the general pros and cons gathered from the several players around the world, I hope that without spoiling the game, I've enlightened you on what to expect. Okay, now for my honest rating for this game, I would give this game an 8 out of 10. Along with this, I would also definitely recommend buying this game as long as you understand what this game has in store. I personally have never played a Kojima game until now, but I am a new fan of his work, and I think that this game is going to be talked about for a long time. And no matter how you feel about this game at the end of the day, it is going to be one of the most unique games ever created. Alright, that is everything I have on this game review, and I hope that this helps you make a decision on whether or not you'll buy this game. Also, a huge thank you to everybody that helped me make this video, and everybody that's part of my channel. Thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate that. My name is Absalom, and I hope to see you in my next video.